Tonight is another topic regarding our Stewardship Week of Prayer. Yesterday we were looking at the story of Hannah, the family who was faced with great trouble. Not only the nation was facing a great trouble, but within her family, Hannah was also facing a great trouble. Where did Hannah turn to? He turned to God to take her trouble to. And amazingly, God answers her faithful prayer. Where do we take our trouble to in time of our challenges, the challenges that we face in life? But you know what Hannah did? He chose to go to God. And you know what? He made a vow and made a gift to God. And that gift was her only child. Heaven also made a gift. The only Son, Jesus, died on the cross for you and me. Tonight our topic says the delight of kindness in real life. Our reading tonight is based on the book of Ruth, another character. We will look at it tonight. I hope we are well versed with the book of Ruth and the story about in the book of Ruth. I'd like to start off our reading tonight with this amazing statement that was said by this Moabite woman. Ruth was not a believer. He was a Moabite from the land of Moab. And let's just hear what she said in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, in verse 16 and verse 17. A very important statement said by this woman who was said to be a Moabite. She was a foreigner to the faith. She was not a believer. But look at what was written about this great woman of faith. If you have a new King James Version, can you please read out loud on Ruth chapter 1, verse 16 to verse 17. 2, 3. Stay focused on those two verses. They were very personal statements to Ruth, and it shows that Ruth have a great faith in the God of heaven that we've come to serve today. The story tonight says about a pastor that was traveling on a plane. And he was sitting next to a passenger. And out of curiosity, the passenger asked the pastor, who happened to be Ben Maxon, one of our ex-director of Stewardship Department at the General Conference. He was traveling on the plane, and he was sitting next to one of the passengers, and the passenger asked, what is your occupation? And Ben Maxson was trying to think what you're going to tell. I'm a stewardship director of the General Conference. And he said, well, I am a pastor. I am responsible for our church stewardship department. And the passenger that was conversing with him looked at him with eyes, with questions in his eyes. What is stewardship department? What is this? And the man asked, what does that mean? And Ben Maxson, our stewardship director, says like this, well, I suppose that there are many Christians on this plane, but are they all true Christians? The other guy immediately said, I don't think everyone is a true Christian. He was taken aback by that, because that guy says, not everyone is a true Christian. Are you a true Christian? Am I a true Christian? What is the meaning of true Christian? And Ben Maxson says to the gentleman that he was conversing to, well, my full-time duty is to help people practice what? Christianity. My full-time duty is to practice, to help people practice Christianity. You know, in the world today, church family, I can be standing here from Sabbath to Sabbath preaching, but it does not mean anything if I don't practice it. True? Yes. I can be standing here from January to December and preaching to you, but when I go and socialize and be with our friends around the community and did not practice what I preach, what does Christianity mean to those that we come into contact every day? And that's why Ben Maxson says, my duty is to help people practice Christianity. To be a faithful Christian means to love the Lord your God with what? All your heart and all your soul and all your mind. And this is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. That can be found in the book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 37 to 39. We need real Christians. Real Christians are those Christians that practice the love of God in their life. Someone said, people cannot change by the sermon, but they can be changed when we become practical Christian, when they found in your life that you practice what you preach. But how do we define this statement that says in Matthew 22, to love the Lord your God with all your heart? Ben Maxson goes on to say, you can love the Lord by giving your tithes and your offerings. That's one way of loving your God. Another way is you express the love by serving others. Another way of loving God is by listening to the Word of God. But what is the fundamental characteristics through we transmit the love of God to those around us, to those of our families, and those we might come across once in our lifetime. In the book of Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4, he said, love is full of kindness. Love is kind. And that's where the topic is centered tonight. 1 John 4, verse 10 and 11, it says, through the kindness that expressed towards others, we show that we love God. Sarui kambimbi na nondambula menda wari takatiko na nonda dauwika waitaki. Be kind. Kind in the little things. In the book of Ruth, as we just read what Ruth had said in verse 16 and 17, but in the background, this is what happened. They were at Bethlehem, and the place experienced a drought. So they have to move from Bethlehem to Moab. And they stayed at Moab for about 10 years. And after 10 years, they moved back to Bethlehem. So after 10 years, the family of Ruth, of Naomi, and who was the husband? Elimelech. They moved back to Bethlehem after 10 years. Because of the drought, Elimelech's family decided to move to the land of Moab, but just in 10 years, 3 major things happened in the family. One, Naomi's husband, Elimelech, died. Second one of her sons also died. And the third one, also, one of her sons, the second one, also died. So Naomi suffered much. She was a woman of faith because she was from Bethlehem, from the land of Judah. Matanawatina, the husband died, Elimelech, and the 2 sons also died. Just in the span of that 10-year period, a turmoil happens in the family. And that drives Naomi and decided, I'm going to return back home to my people. 10 years is not a long time, but 10 years, most things can happen in a 10-year. What situations are you facing in your family today? You may have lost a loved one. You may have lost your job. You may have gone through a tough time in your relationship as husband and wife. But over these situations, similar happenings were taking toll on this small family of Naomi and Elimelech. And after Elimelech died and his 2 sons, the 2 sons died. Who were the name of the 2 sons? Oh, Malonike, Kilioni. Yes, those 2 boys died. The 2 boys were married to the 2 women who were the daughter-in-law of Naomi. Dua ea Wakawatitako Ruthi, and the second one, Wakawatitako Oripa. So During those 10 years, Ruth was left without a husband, and Ruth was left without a husband, but Ori Patalanga was left without a husband. So the three women were being challenged with a great challenge. Being a woman in a land that Naomi was foreign to, Naomi told the two daughters-in-laws, look, there's nothing else I can give you to. It is better for you two to return to your kind, and I better return to my kind. 3 times in the story, they stopped and cried along the road back to Judah. Naomi was trying to encourage both the daughter-in-laws to go back because there is no hope for them. There is no hope for the future. And you know what happened? This is where the famous statement by Ruth, the one that we read. Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee or return from following after thee. For whither thou go, I will go, and whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. And that is the famous word from Ruth, challenging us tonight. You know, what drive Ruth to say those words? Nadava to soi Ruthi me tukuna kina na vosaya ve neomai. What happened? What do you think drive Ruth? It was the kindness of this woman. The kindness of Naomi drive Ruth to make that important statement. You know, it is hard to travel as a family, parents and sons and daughters, right? To make that decision to go together on a mission. And it is quite hard for a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law to go together, right? Kandrendre. We experience it in our family circle, right? It's very hard for a daughter-in-law and a mother-in-law to stay together. Most of the time, the daughter-in-law will be there in the kitchen, the mother-in-law will be in the sitting room. They will not agree on most of the things. But this was a special moment. Or Ruthie make that statement that no other daughter-in-law probably around the world today can make. Ruth made that statement because Naomi showed kindness to her. It challenges us tonight. Whom have we shown kindness to? There was one day I was at Suva in Ritoba Street where my sister lives. We were staying with my sister. And my mom was still alive that day. I can clearly remember the day. And an Indian man came up to our gate, and all he was asking if he could have a cup of water and food to eat. My mom, being mom, said to me, "Oh, I think I think just looking for money." Mom just came from the village and he was staying with us in Suva and said, "Oh, irongorina ndolawa kita irme bangkarkakan ngana ilavo tiara lestali." But I felt that drive in my heart to respond to the need of that man. And we gave them food that day. And we gave him a little bit of money to take home. And we never saw that Indian man again. But you know, that little thing that we do in life, be kind to others no matter what. Naomi showed that kindness to Ruth. And you know, that kindness that was shown by Naomi to Ruth drives Ruth to know the Lord and make that statement in verse 16 and 17. A Moabite woman, a foreigner to the faith. You know what? Ruth was named in the genealogy of Jesus. Okoya, a foreign to the faith, kai Moapi, but through the kindness of his mother-in-law, he saw God, and he chose to stay with God, and he said, "Na vanua na matikina, au na matikina, na nomu kalau, and na nomu kalau." Through that special act of kindness from her mother-in-law, Ruth decided that the God that her mother-in-law served will be her God. You don't know the little things that you do to others, you are sowing that seed of love, and one day they may see Jesus. And it is my appeal tonight that we might not lose faith no matter what your family goes through. Nehemiah lost his husband. She lost her two sons. And you know what? Our story tonight says that the situation that Nehemiah faced, Nehemiah continued to remain as Nehemiah. The kindness in her did not change, although the situation that she was facing changes. That's why Ruth chose to stay in her company, because Nehemiah stayed as a faithful Nehemiah, and Ruth chose to stay with Nehemiah because of that. Nehemiah didn't lose faith in God. The God that David said, the father of the fatherless and the defender of the widows. In Psalm 68:5 it says, "Our Father in heaven is the Father of those who are hopeless, the Father of those that are fatherless, the Father of those that are widowed." That's how our Father in heaven looks and takes care of us. Ruth in herself was a poor widow like Nehemiah. Ruth was a foreigner. Ruth was called 5 times in the story as a Moabite. The repetition of being said as a foreigner reminds us that she was not part of a chosen ones. she is a foreigner. But you know, the kindness of her mother-in-law made her to make that important decision that she will serve the God that Naomi served. As we move on to our story tonight, eventually they were back in Bethlehem, in the land of Judah. From there, she met Boaz. Boaz was a rich man, and he had a social status. He was the one who treated his workers with a lot of respects, and he blesses them. The day that Ruth, if you will read verse 2, chapter 2 of the book of Ruth, you'll see the story of Boaz and how he became attached to Ruth by showing kindness to this widow. Na iwola tukutuku ke poasa, dua na tamata dau vei kawaitaki. The first time that he met Ruth on that threshing floor, when Ruth was going to look for food, she met Boaz on that threshing floor in the field. And Boaz shows kindness to Ruth. And eventually they got married. Ruth says in Ruth chapter 2, verse 2, she asked Naomi the permission to go to glean the heads of the grain from the field of the one who will be, he says, from the one who will be willing to show kindness to me. Ruth chapter 2, verse 2. Ruth, in herself, experienced that kindness from Naomi, and she said in her statement in Ruth 2, verse 2, to go and glean the heads of the grain from the field of the one who will be willing to show kindness. For Ruth, it is important that she will find someone who shows kindness. Church, family, tonight, kindness is one thing that is missing in our family circle today. We are bothered so much by the need for self. And we are not bothered by the need of others. Church, when we are bothered about ourselves, we are telling others that we are not worshiping the God of love. It is important that we need to show kindness to others, so we are telling others that we serve a true God who loved others. As we jump onto our last topic for tonight, it says, under his wings. Isaiah chapter 49, verse 15, it says, can a woman forget her nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. Our Father in heaven says, a mother can forget the need of her child, but I will never, never forget you. And that's how kind and how loving our Father in heaven is. If we call God our Father, then we must reflect the same character that he says in chapter 49 of Isaiah 15, surely I will not forget others too. In Psalms chapter 91 verse 2, it says, David says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, and he is my fortress, my God, in him I will trust. The word of kindness from Boaz, you can read in Ruth chapter 2, verse 12. It says, these are the words that came out of Boaz. May the Lord repay your work, and a full reward be given you by the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come for refuge. What a wonderful statement made by Boaz as he met Ruth on that field, on the threshing floor, when Ruth was looking for grains. Those kind of words tells Ruth that the wings of God's providence and mercy and kindness have spread over her, a stranger and a foreigner in a land. People may come to us not as close relatives. People may come to us as somebody we do not know. But we must extend the mercy and the kindness that God says in Isaiah 49:15. God says to the people of Israel, not because that they deserved it, but because in his plan he wanted to show them the kindness to all nations. And he said in Exodus chapter 19 verse 6, you shall be to me a kingdom of what? A kingdom of priests. God was explaining to his people, the Israelite, not because they deserved to be priests, but he wanted them to know that they should show the same kindness he's shown them, to show them to other people around them. God could have chosen another nation, another group of people, but he said to the people of Israel, I have chosen you to be priests. And they are to show that same kindness to others. Under his wings, Ellen White states, all who, like Rahab the Canaanite and Ruth the Moabite, turn from idolatry to the worship of the true God, were to unite themselves with his chosen people. As the numbers of Israel increased, they were to enlarge their borders until their kingdom should embrace the world. O Ruthi, leo ni Moapi, o Reapi, leo ni be, Kenani. They turn from their idol worshipping to worship the true God, because God has blessed the Israelite to show the true love and kindness to this woman. We kenda na leni lotu e na kaveni kua, who The question is, who will God bring to you this coming week? Whoever God brings to us this coming week, or bring to us, to our families, we must show kindness to those that God allows us to interact together so that they will know the love of God. God is the provider of bread and life to Ruth. He is the source of everything in her existence. Tonight, we would like to challenge the church that God is the provider of your bread and your life. He is the source of your everything and even our existence. If we take that God is the provider for us, we must also show kindness by providing for others. Now, Naomi, Ruth, and Boaz, they did not remain at the level of clothes in religious language, but they saw in their behavior. The attitude, the sacrifice, the kindness, a sign of true Christianity. Tonight, as we come to the close of our message, the message tonight says, the only way people can see God is through the kindness shown by His children. What do we admire about Ruth the Moabite? There are many things to admire, but maybe the most important thing is the choice he made and the courage and determination in her. You know, the little kindness that Naomi showed Ruth, that led Ruth to make that big choice and that courage and that determination to say that I will die wherever you die and your God will be my God. Ruth remains an example of how big life decisions are made from that show of kindness by Naomi. Humanly speaking, without Ruth, there will be no Obed. Without Ruth, there will be no David. And without Ruth, you know the generations that reach after David up to Jesus. Ruth was blessed to be named in the Bible through the genealogy of Jesus, just because he or she made that important decision to serve and follow God. And that arose from that kindness that was shown by her mother-in-law. And what can be greater than to be full of kindness? The world will be a better place to live. God is a God of relationship. He wants you to have a relationship with Him and a relationship with others, because others will come to know God through your relationship. The story of the family of Ruth can be a story of our life today. So many things that are happening in our families, so many things that are happening around us disturbing us, bring challenges to our families. But let us be like Nehemiah, true to her God, kinder to others. And that's how she was being a light to her daughter-in-laws, especially Ruth, who received the faith and chose to follow God. May God bless His word tonight, and may God bless us as we close our second night tonight with the topic, the delight of kindness in real life.